go again. So I've spent so much time working on this truck, so many problems, and the more blogs I read, the more I find out that these 3.0 liter Rangers are just so problematic. So, major coolant problems, major overheating problems, a whole bunch of electrical issues resolved. Now, the timing cover is leaking bad. I tried to use the sealant, you know, the head gasket sealant stuff to keep it from leaking, and it didn't do anything. All it did was build a big blob of goo next to the timing gasket, so on the one side anyways. So at this point I'm going to go ahead and replace the gasket for the timing cover. If I was to recommend anything to anybody on this project, if you ever replace the water pump, just assume that the timing gasket is also bad and just replace that while you're at it. That would have been the better thing for me to do on this. The water pump takes a substantial amount of time to fix, and it would have just been easier for me to, at that time, to have just replaced the timing cover gasket. It would have added maybe an hour to the whole project. So now I'm irritated, you know, because you have to take the water pump off and do everything just to get that dang gasket. So now I'm doing this all over again. So if you were to get it quoted, it's about $875 to $1,000 to have somebody do all this. So obviously, you know, it's $50 in parts, and I'm gonna do it myself. So one of the things that you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to drain the coolant out, obviously, because you want to remove the radiator, and you want to drain the oil. Now, some people drop the actual oil pan when they do this. I am not going to do that unless something falls in there or something concerns me. But that is up for debate, but you don't need to do it. If I get down there and there's just a ton of crud in there and it's falling into the oil pan, I'll have no choice. I bought extra oil just in case I need to drop some oil down in that pan just to sort of flush it out after I'm done, so I have spare oil. So you'll need the basic set of sockets, obviously, to do this. The more stuff you get out of the way, the easier it is. You do have to remove the accessory rack over here, which is a big pain in the butt. And you have to remove the radiator. You have to remove water pump, the tensioner pulley, air conditioning, if you have it, that has to come up and over. And you'll want to disconnect your radiator hoses just to get them out of the way as well. I mean, you have no choice because you're dropping the radiator out, but you'll want to disconnect them at the actual right at the actual piece itself. So I'm going to go through and film it completely in detail. It is a time consuming. It's probably going to be a 2-day project. That's why I have the truck in my garage. I'm not filming it outside like I normally do, because I may just push it forward and finish up tomorrow. My goal is to get at least to the timing cover gasket off tonight and then get it cleaned up. I'm hoping to get that far, and tomorrow just, you know, put everything back on. So since I've done this before, I'm hoping this will go somewhat quicker because I know a lot of the gotchas on this after replacing the water pump. I actually this time even went out and did something that most mechanics will not do, which is I actually got the manual from Hayes on this. The only reason I got it is I don't want to look up all the torque settings as I'm working on the truck. So if for some reason you can't get the fan off the water pump or the clutch fan, you can, since you're taking the radiator off, if you do all that first, all you have to do is drop the shroud onto the fan and just remove the fan with the water pump. I'm hoping it'll break free. It makes it easier, but I've had to do that before in other cars where you just basically remove the radiator, and then that way you can just simply take the fan off with it. So very first thing would be just to disconnect the negative on this, because there are certain aspects in here you could shock yourself. Drain the coolant, drain the oil out, and then after that remove the radiator first, remove all, of course, the intakes and stuff like that. It starts setting them to the side, and you want to make sure that you have the complete kit, because there is a gasket you have to replace when you're done. And hopefully I can get this done in about 8 hours. Since mechanics take about 8 hours, I doubt I'll get that lucky, but that's the hopes. Anyways, filming it as I go, and I even put a towel in the front here to make sure I don't damage my new grill. So I had to get the nut off the damper crankshaft. I basically could not find an adapter, so I took another adapter I had and made it work. And I am going out and buying the biggest breaker bar I could find, and I finally got it loose. This was a severe pain to get out. As a matter of fact, it's been the slowest thing so far. I would say actually this truck is not coming apart as quick as I would like it to. But the moral of the story is if you have a locked bolt, or if your nut's tough, you pretty much have to get an adapter like this and to make it work. So this was a real pain in the ass. When I say a pain in the ass, it took me all of 3 hours to get the bolt loose. So now I got to get that off, and then I got to use the pulley to pull it out. The key thing is just to mark it as you're going. That way you know don't have any problems. But I should be able to get that off hopefully in the next hour, and then actually pull that pull the complete timing cover off. Right, so you can see right here, this is where I used the sealer, and it basically leaked all in here. So yeah, this definitely was my problem. So at this point, I'll have to clean this up, scrape it off, reinstall it. History where my leaks are coming from. If you look here, you can see the white powder from the gasket sealer I put on here. So I'm basically going to clean this up now. The seal is still good for the oil pan. I was looking here, it's fine. No issues there. So what I'll do is just RTV, clean this up, and then go from there. But yeah, I was leaking on both sides. If you look at the residue from the stuff that the leak, stop leak, it's huge. So at this point, time to start cleaning up this, get all the old gasket material off, get all the crusted over antifreeze up, and reinstall it. It's a pain to get this off. Was not a fun experience, but at this point we're in the reassembly phase.